This is not advice. This is a final warning, because what you are about to learn is not a life hack. It is a fundamental shift in consciousness. It will not just sharpen your mind, it will reforge it in a fire so intense that the person you are now will be burned away, leaving behind something harder, colder, and far more perceptive. You will begin to see the hidden patterns in human behavior, the subtle currents of power that flow beneath every conversation. You will start thinking 3, 5, even 10 steps ahead. You will stop giving your trust away like a free sample. And perhaps, when you see how easily the world is manipulated, you will be tempted to start using those same tools yourself. This mental technique does not just make you strong, it makes you profoundly dangerous. And let me be clear, once you cross this line, once you truly see the world this way, you can never go back to the blissful ignorance of before. The curtain will be pulled back permanently. Before we descend into the abyss, I have broken this journey down into 3 critical stages, so you understand the full gravity of what is waiting for you. First, we will unveil the mental operating system itself, metacognition. We will dissect what it is, how it functions on a biological level, and why it is the single most powerful advantage a human being can possess. Second, we will confront its dark side. We will walk into the shadows where no one wants to look, the place where this godlike awareness is twisted into a tool for devastating psychological warfare. This is where strategy becomes manipulation and influence becomes absolute control. And finally, if you still have the stomach for it, we will learn how to master this art, not for evil, but for power, for protection, and to ensure that for the rest of your life, you are the one pulling the strings, not the puppet tangled in them. Let me introduce you to the master key that unlocks the human mind, a function that only a vanishingly small fraction of people use with conscious intent. It is called metacognition, the ability to think about your own thinking. This might sound abstract, so let's make it brutally simple. The vast majority of humanity is trapped in what we call level 1 thinking. They are passengers in their own bodies. They feel, then they react, driven by ancient, primal programming. They get a flicker of anger, so they lash out in an argument they will later regret. They feel a pang of anxiety, so they avoid the opportunity that could have changed their life. They feel a moment of trust, so they spill secrets to people who will use that information against them. They live their lives as a series of uncontrolled chain reactions. But the master strategist, the metacognitive mind, operates on level 2. They are not the passenger. They are the pilot, sitting in the cockpit of their own consciousness. They don't just feel an emotion, they observe it arriving, like a storm cloud on the horizon. They don't just act on impulse, they pause, and in that sacred pause, they ask the critical questions. Why do I truly want to do this? Is this emotion an accurate signal, or is it a ghost from a past wound? What are the second and third order consequences if I say this or do this right now? This is the fundamental difference between the pawn being sacrificed on the board and the grandmaster who sees the entire game. It is the difference between the person being manipulated and the person who controls the very fabric of social reality. Now, let's give this concept the weight it deserves. We will break it down into 3 core, actionable skills. The first is understanding emotions before you control them. True emotional intelligence doesn't begin with suppressing your feelings. It begins with interrogating them. Most people are adrift on an ocean of emotional autopilot. Anger, anxiety, shame, frustration. These are just waves that crash over them, forcing an immediate, thoughtless reaction. But the metacognitive thinker brings a flashlight into the dark. They step back. They observe the feeling instead of becoming it. They don't just ask, "What am I feeling?" They ask the deeper, more revealing questions. Why am I feeling this? And is this the real emotion, or just a mask for something else? A person says, "I'm angry," but this is rarely the whole story. The metacognitive mind digs deeper, like an archaeologist excavating a hidden truth. Am I really angry at my partner? Or am I feeling unseen and unappreciated? And anger is just the easiest way to get attention. Am I annoyed by my coworker's comment? Or do I feel insecure about my own competence and their words just poke that wound? Is this person genuinely bothering me? Or am I simply exhausted, hungry, or stressed about a completely unrelated problem? This level of inquiry is the beginning of all self-mastery. The moment you correctly name the true underlying emotion, loneliness, fear, embarrassment, powerlessness, you create a sacred distance between that feeling and your reaction. And in that silent space lies all your power. The second skill is tracking your thoughts. Your thoughts are the invisible architects of your reality. They are the blueprints your mind uses to construct your life, brick by brick. If you are not aware of these blueprints, you will wake up one day in a prison you didn't even realize you were building. Most people don't think their thoughts. They are thought by them. Their minds are filled with unexamined mental malware, running on repeat. "I'm not smart enough. This will never work. They probably think I'm an idiot. It's too late for me. What if I fail and everyone laughs? And the most tragic part is, they don't question these thoughts. They accept them as gospel truth. But here is the great secret. A thought is just a neurochemical event. It is not an order. It is not a fact. And most of your thoughts are not even yours. They are ghosts, the echoes of a critical parent, a past failure, or a society that profits from your insecurity. The metacognitive mind installs a surveillance camera at the gateway of consciousness. No thought gets to enter and become a belief without being interrogated. You must learn to ask, is this thought helpful or harmful? Is it based on objective facts? Or is it just a story I'm telling myself based on fear? This questioning changes the entire game. It literally shifts your brain activity from the reactive, emotional amygdala to the calm, rational prefrontal cortex. You are no longer the thought. You are the one observing it. And the observer holds all the power. The third, and perhaps most potent, skill is strategic observation. Most people participate in conversations blindly. They hear the spoken words but are deaf to the subtext. They react to a person's tone but miss the hidden intent. They look at a smiling face and fail to see the quiet desperation or cold calculation behind the eyes. The metacognitive mind, however, does not just participate, it observes. Your awareness splits into two distinct channels. Channel 1 is you, engaging in the conversation. But Channel 2 is a silent, detached observer, watching the entire social chess game unfold. This is where you begin to see reality as it truly is. You notice the micro-expressions that betray a lie. You detect the subtle hesitations before an answer that signal internal conflict or deception. You read the invisible dance of power dynamics. Who interrupts whom, who mirrors whom, who leans in to assert dominance, and who pulls away in submission. Why is this so devastatingly effective? Because you are consciously activating your brain's theory of mind, elevating a vague gut feeling into a high-resolution surveillance tool. You see the patterns before you become a victim of them. You start seeing people not as they want to be seen, but as they are. And this is precisely what a master manipulator does. They watch you, they study you, they run silent experiments to find your emotional triggers. With this same awareness, you can either build an unbreakable shield against them, or you can become one of them. Because this tool is neutral. It can be used for connection and protection, or for deception and control. And this is the razor's edge where genius and monster become one and the same. Now, we must face the darkness. You've seen how this awareness can grant you power. But what happens when it is wielded by someone with a void where their empathy should be? What happens when their goal is not to understand, but to exploit? This is where the genius curdles and transforms into a monster. Because the same awareness that fuels self-improvement can be turned outward as a devastating psychological weapon. When a manipulator uses metacognition, they don't see your emotions as feelings. They see them as levers to be pulled. They study your insecurities, your deepest fears, your secret hopes. Then they get to work. They might use exploitation, making you feel worthless so that you crave their validation. A toxic boss might say, "You're lucky to have this job. You have potential, but no one else would be patient enough to develop it." Translation: you are inadequate, and I am your only salvation. Stay here and be grateful. It feels like mentorship, but it's a leash. Or they might use a more insidious technique, planting ideas, a form of mental inception. Instead of telling you what to do, the manipulator skillfully guides your own thought process until you arrive at the conclusion they wanted all along, convinced it was your own brilliant idea. Instead of saying, "Don't trust your friend, they'll plant a seed," it's just interesting. Every time you hang out with Sarah, you seem so drained and doubtful of yourself afterward. I just worry about you. They plant the seed of suspicion. You water it with your own observation, and when you finally decide to distance yourself, you believe it was your decision. You've been played, and you even thank the player for their concern. One of their most powerful and cruelest weapons is control through silence. In the hands of a monster, silence is not an absence of communication. It is a form of it. It's a suffocating presence. They'll wait hours, or even days, to respond to an important message, letting your mind fill with anxiety and self-doubt. They'll stare at you in complete silence after you've made yourself vulnerable, creating an unbearable vacuum that you feel compelled to fill with more apologies, more explanations, more of yourself. You end up revealing everything, while they have revealed nothing. And sometimes the monster wears the mask of a victim. They use weaponized vulnerability, sharing stories of past traumas and betrayals to gain your trust and create an emotional debt. You feel obligated to protect them, to fix them, but it's a trap. Once you are emotionally invested, they flip the script. After everything I'd been through, I can't believe you would do this to me. Suddenly, you are the villain in their story, and they remain in perfect control. This is why metacognition is not inherently good or evil. It is a force multiplier. When paired with empathy, it creates profound leaders. When paired with narcissism and a thirst for power, it creates monsters who walk among us smiling. So, you have seen the light and the shadow. The real question remains, how do you master this for yourself? How do you forge this mental discipline into a tool that serves you, protects you, and ensures you are always the one in command of your own destiny? This is not about abstract philosophy. It's about practical, daily training. First, you must master third-person self-talk. When you are caught in an emotional storm, switch your internal monologue to the third person. Instead of, "I'm so angry I can't think straight," step back and say, "He is experiencing a surge of anger. His heart rate is increasing." It's a physiological response to a perceived injustice. What is the most strategic move from here? This act of diffusion creates an immediate mental space, activating your rational prefrontal cortex and disarming the emotional bomb. Second, you must commit to a ruthless 5-minute daily review. Every single night before sleep, you will conduct a mental debrief. Ask, what was the strongest emotional moment I experienced today? What was the true trigger beneath the surface? Did I react on autopilot, or did I respond with intention? Where did I give my power away today, and to whom? And what is the one mental adjustment I will make tomorrow? This isn't navel-gazing, it's battle analysis. Third, you must become an expert at labeling and interrogating your thoughts. When a negative thought arises, don't fight it. Detach from it and label it. Oh, that is the "I'm not good enough" story. Then, cross-examine it like a hostile witness. What evidence do I have that this is absolutely true? What is the counter-evidence? Whose voice is this, really? Is accepting this thought moving me closer to my goals or further away? You break the spell of the thought by exposing it to the light of conscious inquiry. Fourth, you will practice dual awareness in every significant interaction. In every conversation, your mind will operate on 2 levels. Level 1 is present, engaged, and listening. Level 2 is a silent strategist, observing the entire field. You are asking, what is the emotional state of the person in front of me? What is the unstated need behind their words? What is their baseline behavior? And how are they deviating from it right now? This allows you to read the subtext of any situation, to detect insincerity, to identify leverage points, and to influence outcomes without ever needing to raise your voice. The formula for mastery is a relentless cycle. Stop the autopilot. Identify the hidden pattern. Question its purpose. Choose a strategic response. And then, review the outcome. This is how you forge a mind that is sharp, cool, and unbreakable. Let us end where we began. This was a warning. You are either the architect of your own mind, or you are a tenant living in a space that others have built for you. The world is not a playground. It is a battlefield of intentions. Nothing is random. Every word, every glance, every calculated pause is a move in a game you are playing, whether you know it or not. Metacognition is the key to seeing that game board. It is a higher state of consciousness that grants you the terrifying and liberating power to see what is unsaid, to read what is hidden, and to act with a purpose so precise it appears almost prescient to others. The ultimate danger is not the manipulator in the world, but the unexamined autopilot within you. The real question is not who is trying to control you, but who have you allowed yourself to become when no one is watching? In a world drowning in noise and deception, your greatest weapon is not your money, your status, or your strength. It is this quiet, unshakable awareness. The awareness that sees itself, corrects itself, and commands itself. It is the ability to step outside your own mind, to hold the strings of your own consciousness, and to choose your reality instead of inheriting one. So do not let this just be another video. Let this be day 1. Start now. Observe your thoughts. Interrogate your emotions. Watch the game. And ask yourself every single day, who am I when I am fully, completely aware? Because when you find that person, no one can move you. No one can provoke you. No one can break you. You will become the silent, calm center of the storm, the strategist in the face of chaos, the one who cannot be played because you are the one who finally, truly sees.